Even with an experienced team, a proper budget, and publisher support, making games is a daunting business. But given the tumultuous state of the games industry, more and more developers are finding themselves in the position where they have to become their own team, their own publisher, their own marketing expert, social media manager, and all the rest. And the more passion-driven and niche the game, the less likely it is for risk-averse businesses to throw money at the project. And so goes the story of Derelikt, a game whose current team size is equal to the number of publishers that have picked it up and then dropped it or gone out of business. A game that got caught up in the Embracer Group debacle after a dream collaboration with a studio known for some of the most iconic first-person shooters in games history. A game whose difficult development is emblematic of the tension between a troubled industry and one developer's refusal to give up on recapturing the magic of games from his youth.
When I was a kid, I was actually never allowed to have a PlayStation. The PlayStation 1 was always something my friends had, and it had like this allure of mystery, like 3D games, like that was totally crazy after the NES and SNES. PlayStation 1 graphics always had something magical for me, and I've had this seed in my brain for like years and years. Just one day I want to make something that looks like that. I stashed that away somehow and just went into design and marketing. And one day I simply decided to try it and just go for it. And Derelikt actually started as an experiment in getting this look right. So I went deep into research of like affine texture warping and vertex snapping and I don't know, like limited color palettes and vertex color, of course. It became like super interesting to just learn of like the hard way they had to do things back then. It also was surprising like how much they could actually do. Essentially the PlayStation had like everything needed to make like good graphics. The more I looked into it, like the more I found that like the right talent could really do wonders on that console. And I essentially tinkered around, and in my free time, like I had Fridays was like my game dev time. And so I always made something, like some little hobby projects. And Derelikt was the first thing that I regularly posted about, just posting progress reports on Twitter back then. Somehow it gained a bit of traction online, so that became like very motivating in the beginning. Like that was back in 2021. Once I had the look down, it was basically, what do I do now? Like I could do like animation with it or something, but I really wanted to do a game. And then Unity came in clutch, where they just recently had introduced Bolt, the visual scripting language. Like just complicated enough for my artist brain to get going. And like once I've had my first door that opened and closed when you approached it, like I was off. Derelikt is obviously inspired by Alien Resurrection for PS1, which is kind of known today for the twin stick controls they pioneered. Like the modern controls where the left stick moves you forward, backward and strafes, and the right stick moves the camera, which nobody could wrap their mind around back then. But it essentially meant that that game has stuck in the public consciousness. That was kind of my North Star in like getting the look right, because it looked very impressive. I've used tons of like reference, like everything in Derelikt has some kind of reference in some other game from the era. For example, like NPCs, the texel density of NPCs is referenced from Vagrant Story. So I looked at the Vagrant Story models and checked out how they made their UVs and like how much space on the texture is taking for the head and how much is for the body, just so it looks authentic. And then there is like a bit of Doom 3 in there, which is more modern, but also like Shadow Man and Soul Reaver. And I'm picking and choosing like my what I find looks the best, because the meta narrative of Derelikt is that it's essentially a game that we found in a closet somewhere, like on a disc from some defunct developer, and we just took it and ported it to PC. Gameplay-wise, I would most compare it to games like Half-Life mixed with Doom 3. I take a lot of inspiration by the Valve game design philosophy, where like at least that they used for Half-Life 1, where essentially something interesting must happen every 50 meters or so. So be it like a scripted event or some enemy encounter, something, just a strange sound that plays or a pipe that bursts. I'm a very narrative-driven designer, so I'm essentially trying to give you like a linear experience through this spooky space station. And that's also something I felt in Doom 3 back in the day, where it starts out very, very spooky and very scary. But the more time you spend in this environment, the more cozy it becomes, ironically. Like, I just like being in the world of Doom 3, even though it's like hell on Mars. But something about the look and like the realness of the environment, like the tangibility, it kind of, I don't know, it transforms into like a place that I like to be in. And that's kind of what I want to do with Derelikt as well, where like the levels, the environments are like painstakingly handcrafted. Like every room is unique, every texture is hand painted, every light is hand painted. We don't use lights in the environment, we actually hand paint the vertex color. And yeah, so it's like the game will be like a horror game. Derelikt is supposed to be a horror game, but again, through this lens of the 90s, where like the game itself takes itself deathly serious. But we as the player and the developer, like we have this wink and a nod, because we know that it's not as scary as it thinks it is. Let's put it like that. You arrive at a mysterious asteroid in orbit around Saturn. And this asteroid, they grafted like a little outpost onto it, and they basically want to see if they can mine the asteroid for like precious metals and everything that you do as a space corporation. Of course, after you are sent down to the surface, you awaken something that slumbers deep inside. And of course, it turns out that this asteroid might not be a mere asteroid after all. It might even be the carcass of an ancient being that is kind of like an eldritch horror that transforms the minds of the scientists. And it's kind of your fault that it woke up, and you have to find out if it's possible to lull it back into its slumber, or if you all are screwed. It's essentially Alien meets Lovecraft. I used to work on Derelikt on like Fridays and weekends back in 2021, and I always posted my progress, like when I had something new, when I made like a cool enemy or something. Like over a few months, my follower count went from like under 100 to I think 5,000 or something. And so I suddenly had like an audience, and that was like incredibly rewarding to just work on something and actually see that people like what you do. Like I never had that in my day job, where I was fairly anonymous, but like to have like people directly reach out to you and be like, hey, that's awesome, like do more of that. That felt so incredibly rewarding. And then one day, Fred from 3D Realms was in my direct messages. He is the founder and CEO of Slipgate, who at that point were 3D Realms. But essentially, like one day, 3D Realms knocked on the door and were like, hey, dude, we love what you're doing. Do you want to work with us on it? They were happy to give me like a team like of 10 people and like 2 years of development time and like a full-time job as like a team lead. And like they totally gave me like my dream job on a silver platter. Like who was I to say no to that? Like that was absolutely bananas. I don't really had like a huge portfolio. I've been doing games for like 10 years, but it was always like small like game jam stuff, and like I have one released game to my name. It just felt totally like back in the 90s again. Like you do cool stuff, like come work with us, you get everything you want basically. And they just were like the enablers of cool stuff back then. But yeah, we just got cracking. Like Fred essentially encouraged me, now that I had like money and time and a team, to really supersize the production. Like the initial plan for Derelikt was like a 1 to 2 hour mini game, essentially. And like I really had to step up my game. Like suddenly this was like a real game with like a story and cutscenes and production value. And so I came up with like a big design document, and now it's becoming like a 6 to 8 hour game. So it's like System Shock with all its immersive sim stuff and like inventory management and RPG elements and stuff that also trapped into the design of Derelikt. And I know it sounds really like feature creep, but that was kind of the idea, to feature creep this thing into like a really valuable product that has like content and stuff in there and is not just like a small shooter like it started out as. Yeah, we kind of worked on that for close to a year. And then as like these stories unfortunately go, like the bottom fell out from under 3D Realms back then.
The ascent of Derelikt from a hobbyist bedroom art project to a fully funded team is the stuff of dreams for many game developers. But higher up the corporate ladder, above 3D Realms and Slipgate, lurked a force whose name is as infamously recognizable as any Lovecraftian entity.
Embracer had like some kind of deal going back then that fell through, and they suddenly had like a $2 billion hole to fill in their budget. And like as it goes, like the small people have to go first when that happens, and we were the small guys in this case. So Derelikt was cancelled, unfortunately. And gracefully, the whole team was kept on board, and we were all put onto another game project. And so I had to kind of shelve Derelikt. Derelikt became my private hobby project again. I was like, oh well, it was really cool, but it was too good to be true. And so, but I still had my game dev job, so it all kind of worked out. After a few months of that also got cancelled, and we were let go because 3D Realms was like cut down with a hatchet. Like it was kind of brutal, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, then I found myself unemployed, plain and simple. Like I just was out of a job. I was sitting on the street. I was terribly embarrassed for my I left my old job with like pomp and circumstance, and was like, I'm out of here. I'm doing my dream. I'm pursuing my dream. And like, yeah, the dream lasted for like a year and something. And that was that. And then came like the question, like, what do I do now? Like I have this big design document that takes like 2 years and like 10 people to make, and so what now? And so I spent close to a year just pitching it to publishers. Like it was almost always, it was like the same discussion where it was like, yeah, great, we love it, like it looks super cool. Can you make it look less old? Essentially. I couldn't really compromise on that, because that's the whole idea, to make it look old. And so it was oftentimes a bit heartbreaking. There were like big publishers who I pitched to and who were like honestly interested, and I was mega excited, like potentially life-changing publishers. But it always ended with like, yeah, we projected like the numbers, and like it's just that this does not have like the appeal that we are looking for, like the mass appeal that we are looking for. After close to a year of like looking and searching, luckily it was a huge stroke of luck that one publisher was really interested, and I ended up signing a new deal with them. It was like essentially a private individual who got very rich in the tech industry. They founded a publisher to do a favor to indie devs. I had to really scope down our ask, so it was like $300,000 for like 3 people and like a year of development. And they were like, okay, tell us where to wire the money. No milestone payments or like roadmaps or something. They just trusted us completely. they essentially saved the project. We had to start over from the last project because I couldn't keep the source code, but I got to keep all the art assets. And so I had to incorporate. I made my own company, and that was great news, obviously. So we started again and just started building, and it started to come together until last June, where this new publisher suddenly, out of the blue, kind of decided to cease operations, plain and simple. In one day in June, I suddenly opened my emails, and it was like an email that essentially said like, "Hey, we are canceling the deal. We just don't want to do it anymore. Sorry, no hard feelings." The silver lining was that he was like, I guess he is so rich that he was just like, "I don't care, keep the money, just leave, please." So that was obviously awesome because, I could just continue paying my team. Like for them, nothing really changed. Just for me, I suddenly got like a new hat on my head, finding like a solution to this problem, what do we do now? Like I could just finish the game as planned, but then what? Nobody knows it exists. Like there was like this whole marketing plan that just ceased to exist overnight, essentially. And so I had to scramble again for a third time to find a new publisher. Obviously, now that I had the funds, it was also like the question, do I actually need a publisher? Of course. But we are just 3 people. Like we have a programmer, and we have myself and another generalist, and we just are putting this game together as fast as we can, because the scope actually never changed from the big 3 realms scope. It's just a question of time, where I don't have the time to also do all the marketing and also do all the porting and localization stuff. I kind of had to find a new publisher, the 3rd publisher in a row, which is kind of unheard for in these kind of projects, I guess. And now I had like this ticking clock again, where like the money is running out, where like we are essentially just bleeding money until there's nothing left, and then I either have like a publisher or I don't. I kind of wish that I already had like good news and like a happy ending to the whole story. Like I've been in talks with several publishers, and like we are very, very close with like the 3rd one in a row, and I just hope that this one will be the final one. I want to reiterate that I consider myself incredibly blessed and lucky, because like for all the crap that happened over the past 5 years, like an equal amount or even more of awesome stuff happened, where like people gave me like chances that I've been waiting for my entire life, essentially. The game industry currently is kind of rough. Like I took a very bad time to get into the industry, I guess. But I also really love being like a game developer, because I've never had like an industry that is so helpful with each other and so trusting and so hyped to work with each other. I don't know. It's I think like making games is so nice, because you are producing joy for people. You really try to make like actual people happy with something that comes from you. So I'm really, really happy that I had the chance to get my foot in the door and try this thing. I'm not really sure what will come after Derelikt. I'm kind of racing Derelikt to the finish line before my first daughter is born. I really hope that we will be able to make like another game, or like a sequel, or whatever comes next. Like it's bound to stay exciting with where we are going.
The story of Derelict's search for a publisher may be unique, but the larger underlying issues are universal problems for the games industry as a whole, and there are no easy answers here. But in the age-old tension between the forces of creativity and economic constraint, there is one surefire way to ensure that the things that we love continue to get made. And so if Derelikt seems like the type of game that you'd like to play, the type of project that you'd like to support, then I implore you to wishlist the game on Steam, to share this video, to talk openly about games and developers that you love. And here on NoClip2, we will always attempt to do our part in highlighting stories like this, and to bring attention to smaller games made with passion and creativity. We could not do this without the help of folks who support our work, and it is work that we genuinely believe is more important now than ever.